I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Right.
Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
Anyone claiming that America's economy is in decline is peddling fiction.
I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Raising the debt ceilings does not increase our debt. It does not somehow promote profligacy.
I know words. I have the best words. Nobody knows the system better than me, which is why I alone can fix it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Peddling Fiction Podcast. I'm your host, the voice and soul of so-called fiction, Johnny Profita. And back with me, surviving all the tornadoes and the hail and whatever else has been going on over there, is Justin Hillbilly Boy Campbell. How you doing?
Not bad. Yeah, we ended up getting pretty lucky. At work Friday night when y'all were doing happy hour, Jim sent me a message and said, "You coming to happy hour?" I was like, I am stuck. We are under tornado shelter in place. We had sirens going off nonstop, and we spent about an hour sitting in the office just waiting it out. And then after it blew over, we really didn't get anything but some really hard rain and a little bit of wind. Once it blew over, then they gave the all clear, and we went back to work. And like 10 minutes later, the sirens started going off again. And nothing came of it. I think it was actually an accident that they went off the second time because it wasn't even raining at that point. But we didn't get any of it. We were watching a YouTube weather channel that covers that part of Kentucky. The guy does, and about 20 miles south of where I work, got hit really hard. Tornado went through there, and then about 10 miles north of where I live, a tornado went through there and did quite a bit of damage. But at home and at work, we really didn't get anything more than just some heavy rains. No, didn't get any hail or anything. So it was not as bad as it could have been. But yeah, it's been some pretty crazy weather going through, which, like, I don't know, the climate activists would be like, "Oh my God, climate change." Like, or this is literally what happens in this part of the country. Like, literally every year from about mid-April through the end of May. Like, this is not unusual or out of the norm.
Yeah, it is. It's just so exhausting listening to them. Every time there's a weather event, they think it justifies their ridiculous position on climate change. But yeah, we were having a pretty good happy hour with the weather did sort of wreak havoc on people's internet, so we had to cut the games off a little early, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, Jay would have been in the line of that. After it hit us, it would have moved his way probably within 45 minutes of it clearing out of us. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it was just like yeah. Maybe 45 minutes, an hour after, you were like, yeah, I'm sheltered in place. Like, his internet started cutting out.
Yeah, that's about right. Talking about, the climate activists and the way they jump on all this stuff, and now a lot of this is just seasonal weather that we get every year. Remember a few years ago when they were like, "Oh my God, it's the first year that Chicago hasn't had a snowfall in like 80 years or something." And then literally the next year, Chicago had like 2 foot of snow in a 3-day period. It's like, yeah, maybe, the weather changes year to year. It's crazy how that works, right?
Right. And it's just like people, just in general, we have such a small frame of reference as to how the weather behaves. And the yearly thing, we came up with the concept of a year. The planet doesn't fucking give a shit how we measure this. So it's just like, I don't know. The whole thing's fucking ridiculous. Just there's nothing you're going to do to change the weather. You're just going to have to fucking deal with it when it happens. I don't know what to tell you.
But
Move on to another topic, you know?
And like around here, it's, you know, like if you don't like the weather, just hang around for a couple hours. It'll change. We've gone from, it was boiling lava hot yesterday. Today it is very mild and cool and nice. It's supposed to get some rain this afternoon. The rest of the week it's going to be like not super hot, but not real cool. It's going to be nice. It's like, you know, and then next week it's going to be boiling lava hot again. That's weather. That's how it works. That's how it's worked for literally all of my life.
Yeah, it's pretty. I've almost forgotten what that's like to actually have to check the weather every day. Like, it's the same here, pretty much. 9 months out of the year, it's exactly the same. And then when you get into the rain season, it's like, okay, yeah, like you got to make sure there's not like a hurricane coming or something. But it's going to be pretty much the same. It's going to be really hot and humid. And around like 4 or 5 o'clock, a storm's going to come in for like 30 minutes. And it'll blow through. And then in the middle of the night, there'll be the occasional like monster fucking storm at like 2 a.m. I can already pick the weather. I just see the forecast of PV for the next 3.5 months.
So we get tornado season, and you have to check the weather. How do you do earthquake season? Like, is there something that you check for earthquake season? How does that work?
Earthquake season is my least favorite time. That's usually the month of September, thereabouts. Is like, I don't understand what the fuck is going on, but these plates like to move around a little bit. And there's been a fucking earthquake like every September since I can remember over the last 5, or maybe, yeah, there was always at least one, not like a major one. They all start in Colima, which is like a few hours south of here. And it just reverberates through fucking Mexico, gets, up to Mexico City. Sometimes Guadalajara. Yeah. And those are completely like... The only reason I can anticipate them is because they always seem to happen around the same month, but you have no idea when or if. It's not guaranteed to have. There's been a couple really big ones on the exact same day in September, which is weird. But like, we had one in January this year. I had a small one in January. Woke me up at like 2 a.m. I don't like those. Yeah, hurricanes don't bother me as much. They give you like 2-3 days warning. Like, this could be a big hurricane, so you can like prepare for it. Earthquakes, you have no, like, you could just be sitting around in your underwear and then the walls just start crumbling around you.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, so I don't have a trip planned this September. I normally do, but I'm doing my visa run here next month, and then I'm going on a little family vacation in July. I don't know. Maybe I'll go somewhere in September. We'll see. I definitely don't really like to be here, but they've made flying and traveling so goddamn miserable. I don't know which I prefer. Risking having a building fall on my head or dealing with these goddamn airlines.
When dying in an earthquake seems like the better alternative to trying to fly. That's when things have gotten out of hand.
Yeah. Well, when you're trying to buy these tickets too, dude, it's just, they've made it unbelievably difficult to fucking buy tickets now. Like, you don't know what the price is until you actually get the return flight. The return flight changes based on your first flight. Like, I'll take the exact same flight with a different airline or something on the same day out. And depending on which flight I take out affects the return flights that are available on the same day. Like, how's that fucking... Explain that to me. It's ridiculous.
There's some sort of rocket science that goes on with plotting your travel plan.
Yeah. And it's like, yo, dude, just give me like the upfront call. Like, you're like, oh, that $450, that sounds pretty good. And then you click on it. It's like, yeah, if you want $450, you have to have a 36-hour layover on the way there. And then your return flight, if you leave at 3 o'clock in the morning, and have another 36-hour delay, yeah, then you can get it for $450. If you want to fly like a normal hour during the day, or even during at night, but like not at the ass crack of dawn, and you don't want to sit around for a day and a half waiting for your next flight, then it's like $1,000. Instead of like 15 minutes picking through this shit, and then it completely changes. Instead of geometry, they should have a class on how to book your air travel to and from Mexico. Like that would be more, or to and from anywhere. That would be more to high schoolers than geometry in most cases. 100%. I haven't used geometry once ever. Oh, Jesus. Anyway,
and your profession actually requires at least some semblance of mathematical knowledge. And
yes, but they have all these tools, it's like having a calculator. And actually, like most of the way, like my trading strategy now really doesn't depend on any of that. If you can cut things in half into quarters, then yeah, like that's probably the most math I do, is dividing zones into quarters.
Another good class that they should have is how to determine your credit rating. The U.S. government could probably take some lessons on that one.
Yeah.
All right, Jessica, masterclass. It's not really in dispute. So my question to you is, how big of a masterclass was this?
Not in dispute at all. Approval rating bump. That's real life. I live and die by the polls, but that is directly related to him cleaning up his own tariffs mess. So that's moving from the 145% tariff on China to just 30%, where, you saw the CEO from Walmart, I presume, saying that the prices are going to go up. So we'll wait for that. And while we were in the commercial break, Moody's downgraded our credit for the first time in the agency's history. So all good news all around, masterclass.
Yeah, so this was after the markets closed on Friday. Moody's downgraded the AAA government debt down to AA1. I mean, to me, this is absolutely, this is like, what's that, like closing the barn door after the fucking horses have left the stable or whatever. It's just like, wait, okay, thank you. We're $37 trillion in debt. I don't think this debt was ever going to be paid back. Call me crazy, but to just give it a little, like the smallest possible downgrade at this point is absolutely ridiculous. And keep in mind, like some people have jokingly pointed this out, that these are the rating agencies that were rating subprime debt, subprime mortgage debt, AAA, like, and Lehman Brothers is AAA like 2 days before they fucking went under. It's like, dude, this is why I don't think the market reacted. The market was up yesterday. On Monday, the Monday's open, the market rallied. This is either baked into the fucking cake already, or everybody just kind of knows that the U.S. is not going to pay back this debt, and they just don't care anymore. So you might as well just make hay while the sun is shining.
Well, and like we were talking about before the show, like this isn't something that's new. Moody's started their review 2 years ago. So this is, while some of the Trump stuff has contributed to it, this isn't just like all Trump. Like this is something that's been in the works for a couple of years. Like if for those who are just listening, we got a graph pulled up that shows, the U.S. debt in trillions going from the Obama years through the first through Trump's first term, and then through the Biden years, and we'll get to Biden in a second. But as the debt has just crept up and up and up and up and up, Fitch downgraded the U.S. from AAA to AA plus in early 2023. And then not long after that, Moody's put the U.S. under review, moving their outlook from stable to negative. And then this is the conclusion of the Moody's rating review being applied. Like this wasn't just like Moody's looked at the tariff stuff and was like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. The U.S. is now AA instead of AAA. Like this has been a 2-year review that's been going on, and this is the conclusion of that review. So this takes a lot of other stuff into account other than just what's happened over the last 100 days.
Yeah, and I believe they cited a lot of the stuff that's in the big beautiful bill as a reason to downgrade the debt as well. But like, even without that, I mean, I don't think there was anything Donald Trump could have done short of like a Ron Paulian type of big beautiful bill that would have reversed the course of this ship. I mean, the fact that they downgraded it is not the issue. Like, they didn't downgrade it enough. These are junk bonds. Like, this is absolute. Like, just looking at that chart, you can tell that they are not taking this seriously at all. It's crazy. I mean, to just downgrade it like a little blip to AA1, that's like, we should probably pull up a chart of all of the ratings, but like, to go from that to junk, there's like 15 more ratings in between. It's not like, this is not even like a big, I mean, it's a big deal, I suppose, because it makes the debt that the government is going to borrow anyway more expensive. But like, this is not an accurate reflection of the U.S. debt situation. It should be much, much lower. I mean, forget about like growing our way out of this. They're adding, they want to raise the debt ceiling by $4 trillion with the big beautiful bill we talked about in the last episode. So every time they raise the debt ceiling, like literally every single time they've done it, the debt ceiling started at 11.5 billion with a B, I believe, once upon a time. Yeah, there's the chart there for those of you looking. So yeah, AA1 is the one notch below the best prime grade. That's where we are right now. Okay. And it goes all the way down to like C something. Yeah. Default is imminent. We've already defaulted as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. But so every time they raise the debt ceiling, they hit that. It's the debt target. So if they raise it by $4 trillion, feel free to add $4 trillion to the national debt almost immediately. And then they'll raise it again, and then they'll hit that, and they'll raise it again, and they'll hit that. Nobody is ever talking about not raising the debt ceiling, ever. It's never a fucking thing. It's like, yeah, they'll grandstand about it so they get like some political gift from the other side that wants to raise it. They'll hold out and they'll shut down the government for 2 weeks or something like that. But they'll spend more in shutdown than they would when they're actually open. And then eventually they raise it. So there's no serious plan to get this under control at all. Like, how could we be that close to prime with no plan in sight? None. And they're freaking out. They're freaking out. Remember, just a couple of months ago, Doge was like, I want to cut like $100 billion. And they're like, oh my God, cancer. Kids are going to starve to death. A couple $100 billion. They're talking about $2 trillion. None of that's materializing. They're not even fucking close, dude. They're not even close to even discussing a possible path. Like, over the next 50 years of just trying to keep this at the level that it's at. Nope. Forget about bringing it down. This is laughable, man. This is laughable. There's no way we should be that close to prime. None. If you looked at a balance sheet, that's what they should do, dude. They should just create a fake company with the U.S. balance sheet and see how many people would buy that debt. See how many people would loan money to that company. You'd have to be fucking insane. Yes, you will always get paid back your nominal dollar amount because they can just run the printing press and a couple of keystrokes and voila, you've been paid back your principal. But what's the principal going to be worth? What are you going to be able to buy with it? Absolutely nothing pretty soon.
Well, what time of the day did Moody's make that announcement that we were being downgraded from AAA to one or to AA1 or whatever? Because like you said, it was on Friday, and I'm just looking at like the Dow, the chart from the Dow on Friday, and around noon, like it was kind of running kind of sideways most of the morning. Around noon on Friday, it just like jumps up, and then like you said, on the open on Monday, it was immediately down and then right back up, and it's been up all week for the most part. It's like, what? Obviously, the market doesn't care about a ratings downgrade.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could probably look at a chart of the futures because it was after the market closed.
Okay.
Let's pull up the I'll look at the futures market because you can that keeps going. For those of you that aren't familiar with these things, it closes for an hour and then it starts back up again. Although not on a Friday. On a Friday, it wouldn't open until Sunday. Yeah. But yeah, it was like, let's see. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's no indicator. Like you can't tell anything. It was sometime after the market closed, though. They wouldn't dare do it while the market's open on a Friday. Of course not. But then then you have the weekend to digest it, apparently, and it's like, yeah, it gapped down, but the futures market was way up over the weekend. It was up, a couple 100 points on the Nasdaq, and so yeah, it gaps down at the open, but it ends up basically closing up a little bit, maybe flat on the day. But yeah, dude, the markets don't seem to give a shit about this. It's like, so I don't know what that tells you other than they're just like, yeah, either Moody's has no credibility or we don't care. We know that this debt is, we know that. I mean, like, imagine if you believed everything I just said and it's like, yeah, we should be downgraded to like B, but they only downgrade you to AA1. That's like a fucking boost. It's like, oh yeah, we should have been downgraded much more than we actually were. So that would actually be a tailwind to the markets, because yeah, the situation is far more dire than they're anticipating. I don't know what they did over the last 2 years that really, like, what took 2 years to review this. You can just kind of look at anything. I don't know. Give me an hour to review this, and I could tell you, yeah, this needs to be downgraded. But yeah, not the first downgrade in history. The first one that I remember was during Obama, and then yeah, we had the Fitch, and there's a couple different rating agencies. None of them really have any credibility. They lost all of it, as far as I'm concerned, in the 2008 financial crisis. That was, comical. But yeah, they blame this on Donald Trump. Obviously, everything he touched goes bankrupt. Yeah, and just imagine looking at like that chart of the last 20 years and being like, yep, it's just the last 130 days or whatever of Donald Trump is what forced their hand to downgrade it. You have to be a special kind of retarded to believe that. But he is doing absolutely nothing to address these problems. Everything he's doing will exacerbate them. I mean, the idea of like bringing back manufacturing or something to the U.S., like, yeah, that would be a good thing, but it's not going to happen. That's like not the point of these tariffs. So, and this spending bill, this big, beautiful bill, spends a lot of money. And even by like the most rosy assumptions, adds a bunch to the national debt over the next 10, 20, 30 years. I don't know. There should be, I was thinking about this. I wish there was a way that you could stop fucking politicians from talking about like I saw a post this morning from, some one of the squad idiots, retard chicks, that was like, this is it played some clip of like the White House press secretary talking about how it doesn't add anything to the deficit, and she's like, this is a lie. It adds $2.5 trillion to the deficit. And I'm like, over what period of time? Because there's no way it adds $2.5 trillion to this year's deficit, and it's over 10 years. Justin, $2.5 trillion over 10 years to this government. Does that sound like anything worth talking about?
I mean, during the Biden administration alone, those 4 years they added 10. So, like 2.5 in one, that's a little above average. Like, that's not bad. Oh,
But
wait.
it's over 10 years. So like the annual deficit goes up by what? Like a couple $100 billion.
Right.
And it's just like, I mean, come on, dude. Like there should be some sort of fucking rule where they can't do these things where it's like, he's cutting $880 billion from Medicaid. It's like, no, he's not. He's not. That's over 10 years and it's not an actual cut. But it's just watching them grandstand. The other thing that I found out after we wrapped on Friday and we went through some of this big, beautiful bill stuff is that these cuts that everybody's freaking out about, they don't kick in until 2029. So spending increases for the entire Trump presidency, and then maybe in 2029, these aforementioned cuts materialize. It's like, and why do you think that is, Justin? Is it because they never want to fucking actually cut anything?
That's right. They can. What was it that Massey said? He said anything that's more than a 3-year plan won't happen. He said, I've been in Congress for 12 years. Anything that goes longer than a 3-year plan, it's not going to happen. It won't. It will never materialize. Like
100%. Yeah. It's like saying I'm going to go on a diet tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why not just start now?
Yeah. Next week I'm going to start going to the gym.
Yeah. Sure. Believe it when and of course you've only been saying that for fucking 40 years and you've never gone to the gym once. It's really fucking unbelievable that after this poor behavior from a government, like the most irresponsible, fiscally irresponsible behavior I could possibly imagine is what we've watched the federal government do over the last 20 years or so. And they just get a little bit of a downgrade. Just a little bit. It's still almost prime, Justin. It's just like one notch below the best possible thing that you could be. How could that possibly be the case?
You know, we've talked about like the Roman Empire and how much money they spent and the deficits they ran and everything, and how they, you know, basically were printing worthless money towards the end and stuff. I wonder if they had like credit ratings and stuff too. Like because you know that they did credit. Like that was like that is a part of every failing empire is they have, you know, creditors and stuff like that. I wonder like if they had credit ratings for their own treasury and it's like, oh yeah, our treasury is totally XXXII or whatever, and now we got downgraded to XXXI, and you know, yeah.
Right. Oh God, dude. At least back then they had to actually mint coins from fucking gold.
Right.
Man. Yeah, it is like it's just impossible to take these people seriously. Like it should be like illegal to raise the debt ceiling. Like that should not even be a fucking thing. At some point it has to stop. The ceiling will actually be imposed by the responsible politicians who are just public servants and who have served the country, like Joe Biden we'll get into in a minute. They're only looking out for your interests and the good of the country, or it will be imposed by the rest of the world who refuse to loan money to this bankrupt institution. One way or another, the ceiling's coming. But the fact that, like I said, like I don't think people realize how far of a journey it is from 11.5 billion to 37 trillion. Like the original ceiling, 11.5 billion. Now, if that was the ceiling, how did we make it to 37 trillion? And it wasn't that long ago, dude. This is like World War I.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a little over 100 years ago.
Yeah. In the course of 100 years, we've gone from 11 billion to 37 trillion, and getting people to understand like the volume involved in those numbers. Like a billion to a trillion is like the average person can't even, I can't think of a good way to describe it where that it would put it in terms that the average person could like fathom how big that difference is. Like it's insane.
Yeah, you can put it in terms of time, but the numbers get so big that like nobody knows what 37,000 years is either. You know, it's like the difference between like 37 and like 37,000. It's like the numbers, they're just astronomical. They're way too big for our brains to comprehend. Yeah, so 1 billion seconds is 31 years and 8 months. So 1 trillion would be like 31,000 or something. And that's just one.
Yeah. Put that into dollars. And now, like, how did we, like, it should have been.
What do we have to show for it? It better, like, you would think, okay, we must be living like the fucking Jetsons or something, right?
Roads,
because the government's been spending all of this money. We've got amazing healthcare. The education's top notch. Roads, we don't even use roads anymore because we're flying around in cars like the Jetsons, right? Everything's hunky dory after we spent 37 trillion.
You would,
or we have nothing to show for it. That's to me. I mean, like, is there a more damning case for why the government should not be providing anything? I was commenting on somebody idiotic fucking post on Twitter that was like talking about like all these things that we should be doing with this money. Go back 100 years and be like, we're going to spend 11 billion. Be like, no, fuck that. We'll spend 37 trillion. And what are you going to have to show for it? Well, we went from like number 1 in education to like number 40. The roads are unusable. The healthcare system is a fucking disaster.
Speaking of the unusable roads, Sean is as Sean is driving more, he's getting his first experience with summer construction. He's like, why are there cones here? There's not even anybody out here working. What is going on? I'm like, welcome to my nightmare every single year. Like May 1st, the cones come out, and about the end of October, the cones go away. What happens in between? Not a damn thing, but they're there.
Yeah, dude. It's criminal what they get away with. But like if the answer to this is what I said on Twitter, X, whatever. If the answer to making America great was to have the government provide healthcare, have the government provide education, have the government provide housing, have the government do all of these, feed kids, but with all these welfare programs, if that was going to make America great, I think we would notice by now, because we've spent a shit ton of money, more than anybody ever fucking said was necessary to spend. A lot more.
Yeah, if you went back 100 years and told them we're going to spend 37 trillion, they'd probably say, "What's trillion? Does that like that's a made up word, right?"
Yeah. Like, oh, we don't need to spend all that. Just a couple $100 billion. Yeah. No, it's a failed fucking model. And like we can, I don't know if we'll be able to look back on this, but somebody will be able to look back and be like laughing at the Moody's downgrade when the writing's been on the wall for the last 20 years that we were on an unsustainable debt spiral with not one, maybe one politician willing to sort of stand in the breach and be like, yo, we have to stop. We have to actually take this on. There's like one of those every 10 years. One person who's like legitimately honest and is only in Washington to like, I'm not going to raise the debt ceiling no matter what. It was Ron Paul, and now it's Thomas Massey. And like that's pretty much it. So anyway, speaking of government-run healthcare, let's
check in on Joe Biden, see how he's doing. You know, Kamala Harris about a year ago told us that he was in good health. He was ready to lead, looking forward to going into a second term. Like, he was on top of it. Let's see what the corporate press had to say about this along the way.
Think of the people who were running that White House and how incredible it was for them to have never run for elected office once in their life, to have a decaying puppet that they could manipulate. Imagine the unelected power that they were able to feel because they were there to prop up Joe Biden, pushing him into the White House, pushing their own radical agenda on a clueless, elderly Trojan horse. Dr. Drew Pinsky is a medical expert.
Pause this one because I want to set this up more. This is not the. This is going to just destroy the corporate press narrative here. That this is like all of a sudden Joe Biden just has prostate cancer, and oh yeah, by the way, it's metastasized like into his bones. So, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, what weren't Joe and Jill just on The View like a week ago, and like they were acting like he was like all fine and dandy, and now a week later he's got like terminal prostate cancer. You just happened to like they figured this out over the weekend.
Yeah. So I mean, we have to remember that this is the former president of the United States. I can't imagine somebody who's getting better government-run healthcare than the president of the United States. So regular checkups, I would think you get the best doctor that government money can buy. And according to everyone, not only was he sharp as a tack, and this is the best version of Joe Biden we've ever seen, but he's in perfectly good health. Okay. And even up to like a week ago, everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, right before, right after that, the audio from that interview, that her interview drops. Did you listen to any of that? So this is why you're hearing about it now. Joe Biden, remember when he was being like interviewed, or I don't know if interviewed or interrogated, however you want to put it, about the classified documents? And remember the judge ruled, it was like, oh, this is just kind of like a sad old man that doesn't remember what's going on, and we're not gonna bring charges against them for illegally handling classified documents. Well, so the audio of that was released over the weekend, and it's not good. It's exactly how you think a 3-hour interview with Joe, or maybe it was even 5, would go with Joe Biden. He has no idea what's going on. He's mixing up dates, like not like last Wednesday or something, but like, his son, Bo, who, he loves to use as like a political fucking crutch any time he can. He even tried to do it in this interview. Died in 2015. And they were talking about something in 2018. He's like, well, you have to remember, like, my son was dying. And like, it's like, no, that was 3 years before. He's bumbling around, hesitating. There's just like he's like going off on tangents that have nothing to do with anything. And so this is going to tell you that he was he had completely lost his mind well before the debate, right? The epic debate. And this is going to drop, and these books are coming out. And so all of these things are coming to a head. And now, conveniently, we found prostate cancer. And it's stage 4. It's Gleason score 9, whatever that is. And it's in his bones, and it's terminal. All of a sudden. Now, there's only a couple different scenarios as to how that could possibly be the case. Government-run healthcare, even when you're the president of the United States, is completely fucking incompetent and essentially worthless. B, they knew about the prostate cancer the whole time, and they lied about it. Or C, this is a turbo cancer because Joe Biden got the vaccine. As far as I'm concerned, those are your 3 choices. Which one you'd like to choose? I would probably go with B, as John Miles is pointing out there in the chat. But here's Dr. Drew Pinsky, who is a board-certified physician, addiction medicine specialist, big fan of his ever since the Loveline days, who also had prostate cancer and survived it. And he treats prostate cancer. He diagnoses prostate cancer. This is what he does for a living. He's been doing it for like 40 years. Let's hear what he has to say about Joe Biden.
Ivor, he joins us now to talk about the medical side of this. And, sir, it's good to have you on. A week ago, Biden announced a small nodule that was found on his prostate after a routine physical.
Yes.
Now, all of a sudden, it's metastatic, it's aggressive, it's in his bones. What do you make of this?
Well, that actually is what tipped me off. But for one thing, we don't even do the digital rectal exam anymore. We follow PSAs. And so this whole notion that somebody who's the president of the United States, who's getting the best quality health care, we just happened upon a little nodule in it during the workup, and boom, all of a sudden it's metastatic disease. No, everything you said in your monologue was absolutely correct and accurate. It doesn't happen like that. What's even more interesting is speculating that indeed he probably has had, I'd say, less than 2% chance that he presented with metastatic disease, maybe even below that. Only time I've ever seen that happen is that people who aren't getting regular health care. But the really interesting speculation would be perhaps he has had it for a couple of years, and once it gets away to the bones, it's metastatic disease. The treatment is androgen deprivation therapy, and the side effects of that are cognitive slowing, cognitive decline, loss of muscle mass, and falls. Did we not see evidence of that over the last 2 years? It would explain a lot.
Those PSAs you're talking about, the White House was not revealing that test in Biden's, when they would release Biden's whatever health records they would release on him when he was president. They weren't showing us that, were they?
And of course that was being done every year. Of course it was. And they need to be, look, the people who want to push back and say, he's entitled to his confidential health care. I call BS on that. If somebody is climbing into the seat of an aircraft to pilot that plane and I see evidence of impairment, I have not only a right, I have an obligation to ask questions. We all have obligations as citizens in this ship to understand what is going on in the person in the pilot seat. And to not do so, I would call that immoral.
You were diagnosed with early stage prostate cancer yourself. You are now cancer-free, and we're very happy to hear that. There is a doctor's office inside the White House. Nobody gets better care than a president of the United States.
Correct.
They have Walter Reed. They're not showing the PSAs, as you just said. Do you think they've known about this for years?
The evidence suggests that. Of course, I don't know him. I would only wish him the best. But the reality is you don't find a small nodule and then magically have metastatic disease. That is, if somebody shows up after 3 years of lack of supervision, maybe. But it just doesn't happen like this in somebody who's being supervised. And as you said, there's a smoking gun here. Well, where have the PSAs been? Where have they been? And what was the treatment he got? And when did it start? And what other conditions does he have? We need to know that. And in the day of them gaslighting and blowing smoke at us must stop. We have to get to the truth to make sure this never happens again.
Something else. It really is something else. Dr. Drew, we appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Pinsky's fired up there. So
in 2022, when giving a speech, Joe Biden said, "That's why I and so many other people I grew up with have cancer, and why Delaware, for the longest time Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation." Like he said in 2022, "I have cancer," and
he did. Yeah, I have that clip. Do you want to play it?
Yeah, fire it up. I thought I had it. I actually made an intro for the morning show out of it, and so obviously that was the intro for yesterday's show.
Yeah, I just sent it to you. Yeah, I mean, in our defense, though, Joe Biden has lied about everything. And so it's like you don't know if he's telling the truth or he's lying to get sympathy.
Right. Is this a corn pop?
Top of his class, all that shit.
Yeah, is this a corn pop and the hairy legs story, or like what's going on here?
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
Yeah. So he did tell us right there. And then, of course, the media goes into damage control saying, oh, that's not what he meant. That time he just misspoke. Like, imagine like misspeaking about having cancer. It is fucking crazy. It is absolutely crazy. But that was 2022, I believe, right? So they were either they withheld treatment and they let this metastasize because they didn't want the effects of the treatment to be visible during his presidency, and he just was having that many falls and cognitive decline, or they were treating him for this, and some of those falls and cognitive decline were because they were treating him for prostate cancer. It's one of the two, right? And to John's point there, immediate election loss, if that came out then. I would say, like, I'm surprised that they didn't, like, in my mind, if they were going to force Joe Biden out, it would have made more sense to have him go out because of the prostate thing. Then you have like a legitimate excuse, and then Kamala Harris can be like, listen, this is not what we wanted, but I'm going to rise to the occasion and I'm going to do it for Joe and blah, blah, blah. It's such a better story than what they came up with.
That could have been your out. Like, Joe Biden has the terrible debate performance that effectively ended his presidential run, and then just come out, be organized, and say, look, we gave it a run. We thought we could. Obviously, Joe's not up for it. He's got prostate cancer. We've been trying to keep it under the rug, power through, but clearly it's not going to work out. We're going to have him step down. So then that makes you wonder, like, was the Joe Biden like resignation letter him going rogue and doing that off the cuff, or like, because like you never know with like, did the dude have a moment of cognizance and just like, all right, fuck it, I'm out, or like, because it was weird. The letter, remember, it wasn't on the official letterhead. There was a bunch of other people talked about the signature, which now that we know that literally everything that was ever signed during the entire administration was all done by auto pen. Maybe that was his real signature, and it just looked funny because we weren't used to seeing his actual signature. We were used to seeing the auto pen. It makes the whole thing seem even more crazy.
It's wild. And I mean, to frame it like that with the prostate cancer kind of in the back, like after the debate, be like, he could have been like, hey, I just found out like 2 days before the debate that I had prostate cancer and I couldn't prepare for it. And like, I'm dropping out because of this. Like, that's got a fucking bow on it in terms of coming up with a way to drop out of the presidential race and save face and boost your potential replacement. Kamala Harris would have had a lot more energy behind her if it was like she's stepping in to finish, like she's going to finish the job, like she's actually stepping in to finish the job because Joe Biden's dying.
Right. Like, instead of the very ham-fisted way that they went about doing it, where he just like posts his resignation letter on fucking Twitter and then everybody's confused and nobody really knows what that means, and then it's just assumed that now it's going to be Kamala. Like, there didn't seem to be a legitimate plan there. If you had to have known this, there's even speculation that they've known he had cancer since 2021, if not earlier than that.
Yeah, no, they say it takes like 5 to 7 years or something to make it into your bones. 4 to 7 years. It's like a long time. It can take as long as 12 years. Like 5 to 7 years with no treatment or something. With treatment, it's like 12. Like, it's like, dude, this was going on for a long time, and you cannot tell me that he was getting regular. Like, oh, they don't check for that after 70. Yeah, they do. They do when you're the fucking president of the United States. And it's not like Dr. Drew was saying, it's the PSA. It's a blood test now. They look for something in the blood. I don't exactly know how. Unlike everybody else on Twitter, I'm not like an oncologist, so I don't exactly know how all this stuff works. I know everybody went from being a fucking tariff economist expert to an oncologist overnight, and they're giving Donald Trump shit for saying like he's in stage 9 when he meant level 9 or whatever, the Gleason score of 9 instead of stage. It's, obviously he's unfit for office now, Justin. But like, dude, there's no way this went unnoticed and undiagnosed for any amount of time. It's impossible. It's like stupid or liar. You have one of the two. I don't think anybody's that stupid I don't think like, dude, if I was the fucking doctor, my reputation's on the line now. It's like, yo, how did you miss this prostate cancer? You can't miss it for fucking 5 years, dude. I'm sorry. You just can't. There have to be fucking signs. And like you said, they were hiding the PSAs from what they would divulge to the American people.
Well, and I mean, they have been running Joe Biden around doing interviews and all kinds of. He and Jill have been doing stuff for the last couple months. Like, why do they keep subjecting him to this? If
his wife is such a bitch, dude.
Right.
Such a bitch. This is we've been saying this is elderly abuse like more than 5 years without even knowing that he has prostate cancer and he's dying. And she's still trotting him around.
Well, like every time they let him go do something on his own, it goes really bad. And then the next time you see him, she's right there with him. Like,
yeah,
like she is culpable, if not one of the main antagonists of this.
A lot of people were pointing out, well, Joe Biden's going to get to die like surrounded by his loved ones, unlike all the millions of people he did not let die with their loved ones because of COVID, which is somewhat true. There's definitely a point to be made there, except that I don't think Joe Biden has any loved ones. I don't think there's any love in this fucking family, dude. I'm sorry. I don't see it. Your son's a fucking crackhead.
I mean,
your wife is a cunt, dude, who's dragging you around trying to make fucking money off of you while you're dying.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter was banging his dead brother's widow, so like, not.
And he molested it, dude. Again, yeah, but we can't talk about Joe. Now's not the time to be criticizing Joe Biden. We need to take a pause because he's terminally ill, and we just found this out. So don't criticize. Don't talk about how his entire presidency was a deep state fucking coup, and nobody knows who's been running the country since 2020. We can't talk about that, even though we have like more and more evidence coming out proving it.
If we can't talk about it now, wait till he dies, and before they even finish covering up the casket, go in and Trump needs to go in and rule that all of Biden's pardons are ineligible because they're all done with auto pen, so they don't count, and then just start hammering people.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm sorry, man. Like, I don't wish cancer upon anybody, but. I kind of feel the way I would feel about any war criminal, pedophile piece of shit that's been bilking money off of hundreds of millions of people for his entire life. That's kind of how I feel about any pedophile getting cancer. I don't care. I'm okay with it.
For as bad as Biden is, Jill and the DNC that have allowed this to happen are infinitely worse. Like, they have known. They knew this dude was not right in the head. They knew he was had definitely some dementia signs going on, if not full on like early onset dementia or Alzheimer's. Something was happening mentally with him. And like you said, like they had to have known for at least 5 years that he had cancer. So they've just been doing this anyway. Like that is straight up fucking evil.
These people are fucking evil. Stop calling them public servant. Like they're not serving anybody but themselves. And Joe Biden is the perfect case in point. And I'm sorry, the press would be like, oh, well, we just missed this story. I'm sure like we just missed his cognitive decline. I don't see how that's any better than deliberately not covering it.
Especially for the media to say, oh, well, we just missed it. We just didn't know that one. We just didn't notice it. It's like, that's your job. Your job is to see these things and call these things. Like the whole point of a free press is when our government is doing evil, fucked up shit, you call them out on it. That's the entire purpose of the First Amendment. The First Amendment is not for you to be able to say dumb bullshit online. It is, but the intention of it was we should be able to write pamphlets, write newspapers, stand out on a street corner and say, hey, look, our government is fucking up. And not be afraid of going to jail for doing so. You, as the free press, as journalists, this was your job to catch and say something about all of this stuff, and you chose not to. You have completely.
Well, or they just didn't notice.
Yeah.
Which is, in my mind, that's worse. Like missing how you cover this guy on a daily basis for 5 years, and you don't notice any cognitive decline. That just makes you unfit to be a journalist ever again. You can admit, like, just be like, yo, I mean, either scenario kind of makes you unfit, but it's like, I would rather go with, yeah, no, I was pressured by the White House or something, instead of like, nope, I'm retarded. But that's just me.
Speaking of Democrats and evil, ridiculous, retarded shit.
Walking down the street, shithole Chicago, where the wind is cold and the people are low. Broken down buildings, ain't no place to go, but the music keeps playing in shithole Chicago.
All right, we got Brandon Johnson. What's he talking about in this one? I think this is the one where he talks about the other one is
talking about how black people are the most generous on earth, or how he was giving preferential contracts to black businesses.
This one sets up the next one. They're the most generous people on earth, and that's why he's going to give them all the contracts, right?
Some detractors that will push back on me and say, you know, the only thing that the mayor talks about is the hiring of black people. No, what I'm saying is when you hire our people, we always look out for everybody else. We are the most generous people on the planet. I don't know too many cultures that have play cousins. That's how generous we are. We just make somebody a family member, right? That's just how we are. And so business and economic neighborhood development, the deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief operations officer is a black man. Budget director is a black woman. Senior advisor is a black man. And I'm laying that out because when you ask, how do we ensure that our people get a chance to grow their business?
Interesting. Have you seen the statistics that 65% of college-educated black women work in government jobs?
I have not seen that.
Also, statistically speaking, over the last 5 to 8 years, the demographic that has the highest college degree earning rate, or as in the most percentage of their population of that demographic has gotten a college degree in the last 5 to 8 years, is black women. They are the ones who are getting the most college degrees of all the demographics, but their entire employment, their entire employment is based off of government jobs. So, and isn't that interesting?
Yeah, dude, black people do love to work for the government. It's very interesting too, because this is the government that, you know, shackled them in chains once upon a time, and now they're working for them.
And it's oppressing them all the time. Like we live in a white
supremacist society that hires 64% of black women.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. But because you know, black people are so generous, they're all going to get they're going to get all of the contracts and the government jobs from.
Dude, before you run this clip, let's just deal with that stereotype immediately, because the one thing I've heard about, and I've never been like a server or a delivery guy or a bartender or anything, so nobody's ever really tipped me. Every once in a while, if I, you know, schlepped some paint out to somebody's car that was like half a block outside the paint store, they might throw me a few bucks. I've never heard that black people are generous tippers. In fact, I've heard the opposite from everybody. And I'll go back. I've always said this: try to start a stereotype that is not true, and see if it sticks. If I were to tell you that, black guys like can't jump high and suck at basketball and have tiny cocks, nobody would fucking believe that. They can't dance either. Right? Everyone's going to call bullshit. It's just like, stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. Black people being the most generous people on the face of the earth. I have not seen any evidence of that. But okay, they take care of everybody. I guess that includes Whitey, right? All right. So, but when by taking care, like he's giving the contracts to all kinds of businesses, Asian businesses, white businesses, Indian businesses, because they're the most generous people. They take care of everybody. You would think that all these businesses are getting the contracts. Yeah.
You would think.
Well, let's go ahead and roll it and see what he has to say.
And we did some expansion at the airport, particularly in the cargo. And do you know there's never been a prime construction company that has led growth for an airport, particularly in cargo, anywhere in the United States of America? But BOA Construction received the prime construction contract at O'Hare under my administration. It's the first Black prime construction worker company to have a prime contract anywhere in the United States of America. And that's critical, not just for BOA Construction, but for the lives that he's going to transform because he's hiring them. But it's also critical for other major construction companies or mid-sized construction companies that are Black owned to know that there is a mayor who sees them and is going to work hard to ensure that whether you're developing homes, whether you are, looking to help take advantage of the opportunities through aviation, whether it's entrepreneurship to provide a service, that there are resources available for you in the city of Chicago. And one thing that I know for sure that I have to do over these next 2 years, every single dime that our people have been robbed of, I want to make sure that that is returned 2-3-fold, because I believe in something called press down, running over. That is what we have to make sure that happens within our communities.
I mean, anybody who's been robbed of a dime in your communities in Chicago was probably robbed by a Black person.
Well, I was robbed of several dimes from the city of Chicago. I never got any of it back tenfold, threefold, whatever. They just kept taking money from. So they're stealing money from other people, and then we're gonna return it to Black people threefold over. Okay. Yeah. So this topic to the comments here. This is a segment we do. It's called Shithole Chicago. That was a song that we had created by AI.
Is this Brandon Johnson's way of trying to make up for the all of the like tent cities and stuff that they were building on the South Side for the illegal immigrants back like early on, when they were holding town halls weekly to just cuss him up one side and down the other because he was taking care of illegal immigrants on the streets instead of the actual tax-paying citizens of Chicago? Like,
yeah,
is this him trying to make up for that early on?
Maybe he's trying to get back to Black. Dude, Black people have had it with him too. It's not just me and Whitey. They like his approval rating among the Black community is in the toilet as well. He's doing a terrible job. So we've just been monitoring the situation in Chicago.
I think his approval ratings amongst Black voters is actually lower than it is amongst like affluent white people in Chicago.
Sure, it is.
Because, like suburban white women are the uber like black voters. Like they are the ones who vote for all of the stuff, the checking all the boxes stuff. Like, yeah, the Black community of Chicago is fed up with this dude. He has not done anything about the crime problem. He has not done anything about the problem that they have with the schools spending way too much money, getting way too much money. Like they are losing businesses left and right. Like this is like a last ditch effort for him to try to win back some vote. And he even said, like, I have to do this over the next 2 years is like, yeah, that's all you got is 2 years. You're like, you're done after that.
Well, just a couple more black people in positions of power, I think we'll do it. The budget, yeah, that black woman that's been working on the budget, that's $1.2 billion short, doing a great job. Going to turn it around any day now. All those other positions, yeah, just fill it up with black people. Go ahead. Like, how they doing so far? Or would you like to try to do it based on merit? I don't know. But we'll sit back and watch and see how Chicago is 2 years from now. I'm sure it'll be exponentially better, because the only thing that's been holding that city back is that there have not been enough black people working for the government and getting government contracts. I think that makes perfect sense. So, yep, the white women can keep voting for it. And unfortunately, the black people, the reason why their approval rating is so much lower is they actually have to deal with a lot of the consequences of the white woman's vote. They don't get to live in some gated community 40 minutes outside the city. Yeah. I can't believe he's admitting to this on camera, though. It's just like every week he comes out with a clip that's even dumber than the one before. Just like, I'm only giving jobs to black people. I'm only giving grants and shit to black people. I'm only going to give fucking contracts to black people.
Right.
I don't think you can do that.
Right. At least they usually try to be, sort of sly about it and like do it on the down low. It's like, oh yeah, we interviewed everybody and this is who we decided was the best one for the job or something. It's like, nah.
Yeah, also, it's not like 1965 anymore. Like, does a black person being put into a position in the city of Chicago, does that do anything for anybody? Like, oh my God, we got a black woman in this position now. But that hasn't been done before. Like, I feel like every position's been done already. Somebody had, like, some comedian had a joke about this because it was like, I forget who it was, but it was like, okay, so you have like the first all black like baseball team and then hockey team, and like gets all the way down to like swimming or something because they're out of fucking sports to have the first black whatever in. It's a pretty funny joke. I don't know whose it is. I don't want to butcher it any farther than that, but it's just like, yeah, okay, like this doesn't have any more cachet. Like it's lost its luster. We've had a black president. Like, I don't see how, like, okay, yeah, we have a black woman in charge of the budget in Chicago. All right. Does anybody really care? Does anybody really care? Other than those stupid white women in the suburbs.
And the last election showed that those can only carry you so far. Like that was Kamala Harris's key voting demographic, and she lost every swing state, the popular vote, and the electoral college. So
yeah. Well, maybe there's some hope that their husbands are getting their fucking broads under control. Ridiculous.
I was looking at some polling data and stuff earlier. They talked about the polls in that Fox clip that we played about Moody's rating. Millennials are actually on a upswing in favor of, like, Trump's favorability amongst millennials is actually on an uptick, which is interesting. And he's remained relatively high. He's fallen off a little bit for like the Gen Z over the last couple months with some of the tariff stuff, but like he still has pretty decent approval ratings amongst Gen Z. Like younger people are kind of coming around to it. Like it's seriously,
it's just the boomers.
Yeah, boomers and middle-aged white women are the ones who are like still interested in progressivism. Otherwise, it would be dead if it wasn't for them. But like when you've got the Karens being as loud as they can be, then like
yeah, it makes it seem like, especially if they're middle-aged white women that bought into this progressive narrative, and now they're just 47 years old and childless with a bunch of cats. They're gonna cling to that. They're gonna cling to that ideology like grim death because it's all they have, and it's too late for them to fucking turn back. But we'll see. I mean, I did see some reports that Donald Trump had a big, beautiful call with Putin regarding the war in Ukraine, like a 2-hour phone call. Imagine a 2-hour phone call with Joe Biden. Just imagine how that would go. How many times do you think you'd hear the same story?
I figured every phone call with Joe Biden was at least 2 hours because he couldn't remember. It took him that long to remember why they were even talking to begin with. Like he just started talking about his grandkids and trailing off on stories about corn pop. It's like eventually we'll get around to what we were here to talk about.
Every 7.5 minutes, he gets shaken like an Etch-a-Sketch, and he's just completely blank slate to start over again. But dude, if he, I mean, if he's able to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine, that's gonna be a big boost to everything, like his approval rating, a boost to the stock market, I'm sure, which again he'll be able to fucking brag about. So we'll see what happens with that. On the other end of that little spectrum or whatever, I don't think we have time to really get into this. I know you got to go, but the Kash Patel and the what's his name? Jesus, who's
Dan Bongino?
Yeah, Bongino. I want to say Bon Jovi. I knew that wasn't right. Bongino. Did you see their interview where they came out and they said Epstein didn't kill himself?
Oh, I did not.
Oh my God, dude. Maybe if you want to do this right now, we got like 10 more minutes, right?
Let's save this for Friday because I feel like there's no way we do this in 10 minutes.
Yeah. So they're either compromised or, I mean, I don't know. I suppose it's kind of exactly what we were all fearing of when we were like cautiously optimistic about all these anti-government people being put in these positions where it's just like, yeah, is it like if there was anybody that was going to change something, it would be this Trump cabinet. And it just seems like more and more, it just seems impossible. We're not getting the Epstein files. The director of the FBI and the assistant deputy director or whatever they've seen the file and they're saying that Epstein killed himself. There's no conspiracy. There's nothing to see here. And yeah, we can deal with that on Friday. We'll unpack that one. You got anything else going on this week?
Not that I can think of. I got to go back to work a day early. I got called last night that apparently the other night shift guy forgot that his flight leaves on Wednesday and not Thursday. So I have to actually work.
Well, sometimes they change those flights on you. Those motherfuckers have done that to me. Not by an entire day, but by a few hours. And if it's like a 11 o'clock flight at night, a few hours could mean the next day. And it could throw off your entire fucking 1.5 day trip and make it a 3-day trip. Yeah, it's fucking criminal what they get away with. But anyway, I guess we can get out of here on that. Well, the market's still, man, it's so early. Yeah, markets are down across the board a little bit. Gold's up $54. Bitcoin, oh, it's back up. It was down a little bit. Now it's back above 106,000. Just hit it. 106. All right. So yeah, I got nothing else. We'll unpack the Epstein stuff on Friday, and then I'm sure there'll be a bunch of other stuff between now and then. And we'll see if Joe Biden's still alive by then. Who was Lauren Loomer, I think, said he was terminally ill like a year ago.
Nobody listens to Laura Loomer because she's a crazy person, though. So, like,
dude, every time I see her, she looks more and more like that thing from the Saw movies. Every time I'm just like, oh my God, dude, is she like, I think she's seeing like a plastic surgeon to turn her into that doll thing. Pull up a picture.
That'll be Friday's intro. I'm gonna transpose Laura Loomer next to the
She has to be like, yo, make me look like this. Because every time I see her, she looks like 10 to 15% more like that thing. Like 2 years ago, I was like, yeah, she kind of reminds me of the Saw thing. The Saw doll. Is it a doll or what is it?
Yeah, it's like a puppet thing.
Yeah.
I was hoping I could find like a side-by-side of them. Nobody else has made that comparison, apparently.
Can we have Grok do it?
Oh, that I will have Grok do that for sure.
And don't digitally alter any of the photos. Just pull them up and put them next to each other.
Yeah, that'll be Friday. I gotta go. I gotta pick kids up from school.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. And until Friday, you know what to do. Just keep on peddling that so-called fiction. Peace.